Some of you didn't learn love in a safe home. You learned love through fear, silence, and survival. And that wound is still inside you. Let me say something that may shake your heart. Some of us didn't learn what love is. We learned what love isn't. You grew up feeling like love was something you had to earn. You walked on eggshells, choosing your words carefully, making yourself small and visible, quiet just to keep the peace. You learned to apologize for things that weren't your fault. You learned to shrink to avoid being hurt. That wasn't love. That was survival. Maybe your mother loved you, but she didn't know how to love the right way. Maybe she had her own wounds. Maybe she carried trauma she never healed. But here's the painful truth. Children don't understand trauma. They only understand pain. You didn't see a broken woman. You saw a mother who yelled, ignored, abandoned, judged, compared, or controlled. You didn't learn affection. You learned fear. You didn't learn comfort. You learned anxiety. You didn't learn, I'm proud of you. You learned you are never enough. And here you are as an adult thinking love means sacrificing yourself. Thinking love means pleasing others. Thinking love means staying silent, staying small, saying yes when everything inside you screams no. Because someone once taught you that love hurts, but here is the most life-changing realization. You didn't fail at love. Love failed you. You were just a child, and you deserve gentle words, warm arms, and a safe home. You deserved love that didn't make you question your worth. And if your mother never gave you that, it wasn't because you were unlovable. It was because she couldn't give what she never learned herself. Let's talk about something most people are too afraid to say out loud. You can love your mother and still be hurt by her. Both can be true. People will tell you, she did her best. Respect your mother. Be grateful. Don't talk about it. But inside your chest, there's a truth you've swallowed for years. Her best still broke you. Maybe she was physically present but emotionally absent. Maybe she criticized more than she comforted. Maybe she controlled everything, your voice, your choices, your personality. Maybe she compared you to others until you stopped believing in yourself. And when you tried to speak, people silenced you. Don't disrespect her. She sacrificed everything. You're exaggerating. So you learned to silence your pain. You learned to pretend things were normal. You learned to protect her image more than your own heart. You learned to say, it's okay, even though it never was. But here's the truth you've never been allowed to say. Sometimes the person who raised you also wounded you. Sometimes the person who was supposed to protect you didn't. Sometimes love came wrapped in fear, guilt, or silence. And when you grow up like that, you carry invisible scars. You overthink everything. You apologize even when you're not wrong. You don't trust when someone says, I love you. You wait for affection to turn into punishment. You believe you only deserve love when you're perfect. This is not your fault. This is what happens when a child grows up learning love through pain instead of safety. So let me tell you something you may have never heard before. Your feelings are real. Your pain is valid. Your story matters. You don't have to hate her. You don't have to expose her. You don't have to stay angry. But you do have to stop lying to yourself about the pain she caused, because healing doesn't start with forgiveness. Healing starts with honesty. There's a moment in every wounded child's life when then they realize something heartbreaking. The love I needed is not the love I received. This realization feels like betrayal. It shakes your entire identity because children don't ask for luxury, success, or perfection. They ask for warmth, safety, and affection. But if you grew up with a mother who was cold, angry, unpredictable, distant, or dismissive, you learned something dangerous. You learned to survive without love. You told yourself, I'm fine. Doesn't matter. I don't need anyone. I'm strong. But strength was never the goal. It was the armor. Your independence wasn't a choice. It was protection. Your silence wasn't peace. It was fear of being hurt again. And now, as an adult, it shows up everywhere. When someone gets close to you, you push them away. When someone says, I love you, you don't trust it. When someone gives you affection, you feel uncomfortable. When someone treats you kindly, you don't believe it's real. Why? Because the first person who was supposed to love you taught you a twisted version of love. Love is unpredictable. Love is loud. Love is painful. Love is earned. Love can be taken away. So you learned to give everything but ask for nothing. You learned to love others the way you wish someone had loved you. You became the caregiver, the pleaser, the savior, the problem solver. Not because you're naturally strong, but because nobody ever protected you, so you became your own shield. But here is the truth that can change everything. You are not broken. You are conditioned. You are not unlovable. You were unloved correctly. You are not cold. You are guarded. Your heart learned survival, not love. And now your healing will come from learning the difference. Not all love hurts. Not all love demands sacrifice. Not all love makes you small. Real love feels safe, and you deserve that. Let's go deeper into something most people never recognize. When your mother taught you what love shouldn't be, she also taught you how to betray yourself. You learned to put her feelings above your own. You learned that your voice causes problems. You learned that staying silent keeps the peace. You learned that love means sacrificing yourself so others stay comfortable. As a child, you didn't have a choice. You adjusted, you adapted, you survived. But here's the painful part. You carried those survival habits into adulthood. Now you say yes when your heart screams no. You forgive too quickly. You accept behavior that hurts you. You stay in relationships where you aren't valued. You shrink yourself so others don't feel threatened, because somewhere inside you is a belief you never asked for. If I don't keep people happy, they'll leave me. And where did that belief come from? A mother who gave love with conditions: be quiet, be good, be perfect, be useful, be small. You learned that love disappears the moment you stop earning it. But love should never be currency. Love is not a payment you make with suffering. Real love doesn't demand silence. Real love doesn't turn mistakes into punishment. Real love doesn't make you feel afraid. You don't have to keep the world calm to deserve affection. You don't have to abandon yourself to keep others close. The child in you was trained to survive, but the adult in you deserves to live. So let me say this clearly. You are allowed to speak. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to set boundaries. You are allowed to put yourself first. You are allowed to protect your heart. You don't have to keep repeating the love you were taught. You can choose something healthier. You can choose something softer. You can choose something real. Because healing begins the moment you stop treating yourself the way she treated you. Let's talk about the hardest truth of all. You didn't just inherit her love, you inherited her wounds. Maybe your mother wasn't cruel on purpose. Maybe she was raised by someone even colder, louder, harsher, or more broken. Maybe nobody ever taught her how to love gently. Maybe nobody ever held her when she cried. Maybe she was surviving, not living. But here's the heartbreaking reality: pain that isn't healed gets passed down. A wounded mother can only love the way she knows. As a child becomes the mirror of that pain, and without realizing it, you learn her fears, her insecurities, her silence, her anger. You learn to hide your emotions because she hid hers. You learn to be strong because she never showed weakness. You learn that crying is dangerous, vulnerability is unsafe, and comfort doesn't exist. So now when someone asks, what's wrong? Your instinct is nothing. I'm fine, you're not fine. You're trained. You learn that asking for help makes you a burden. You learn that showing emotions brings judgment. You learn that love disappears when you speak your truth. But listen closely, her pain doesn't have to become your identity. Her wounds don't have to become your personality. Her story does not have to become your future. You are allowed to break the pattern. You are allowed to love differently. You are allowed to parent differently. You are allowed to feel deeply. You are allowed to be gentle. You don't heal by pretending your childhood didn't matter. You heal by understanding that it shaped you and choosing to shape yourself again. You're not cold. You were never comforted. You're not weak. You had to be strong too young. You're not emotionally distant. You were raised by someone who feared emotions. But you can learn love again, not the painful kind, not the conditional kind, the safe kind, the kind you always deserved. There comes a moment in healing that feels terrifying but necessary. You have to stop treating your mother's behavior as your responsibility. For years, you carried the emotional weight of the house. You tried to make her happy. You tried to avoid her anger. You tried to become the perfect child. You tried to earn her love with achievements, obedience, silence. But a child should never have to parent their own parent. You were not supposed to manage her emotions. You were not supposed to fix her loneliness. You were not supposed to absorb her anger. You were not supposed to become her emotional punching bag. That wasn't your role. That wasn't love. That was emotional labor forced on a child who just wanted to feel safe. And because you were taught that her feelings mattered more than yours, you grew up believing it's my job to keep people happy. If someone is upset, it must be my fault. I need to fix everything to be loved. And now, even as an adult, you choose people who need saving. You stay in relationships where you give more than you receive. You tolerate disrespect because you fear losing love. You apologize for things that are not your fault because deep down, the child in you still believes love must be earned. But let me tell you the truth. She never taught you you don't have to perform for love. You don't have to suffer for love. You don't have to bleed to keep people close. Love is not a job. Love is not a test. Love is not a trophy for perfect behavior. Real love stays. Real love listens. Real love cares. You are allowed to stop carrying the emotional burden of everyone around you. You were a child who deserved protection, not responsibility. You were a child who deserved comfort, not guilt. You were a child who deserved love, not emotional punishment. And it's time to give yourself what she didn't, permission to put down the weight that was never yours to carry. Let's talk about the guilt that keeps you stuck. You feel guilty for wanting distance from the person who caused your pain. That guilt is not love. That guilt is programming. You were raised to believe good children stay quiet, good children sacrifice, good children forgive everything. So when your heart cries for space, your mind whispers, but she's my mother, but she tried, but she's getting older, but what will people think? Listen carefully. You can love someone and still need space from them. You can care about her and still protect yourself. You can have compassion for her past and still refuse to repeat it in your future. Distance is not disrespect. Boundaries are not betrayal. Silence is not cruelty. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is step away from what harms you. Because healing doesn't always look like reconciliation. Healing sometimes looks like peace distance and a new life built from healthier love. You don't need permission to protect your heart. You don't need approval to choose your own peace. You don't need to suffer just to prove you're a good child. And here's something you might have never heard. You don't owe your mother the version of yourself that was built from pain and obedience. You owe yourself a life where your voice matters, your boundaries matter, and your heart matters. There will be people who don't understand, family members who judge, relatives who say, but she raised you. Yes, she raised you. But raising a child is not the same as loving one, and you are allowed to protect your peace from anyone who threatens it, even if she shares your blood. You don't have to hate her. You don't have to expose her. You don't have to fight with her. You just have to stop abandoning yourself for her comfort, because healing is not about choosing her or choosing you. Healing is realizing that choosing you was never wrong. Let's talk about something almost no one admits. You became the adult you are today because of the child you had to be. You didn't grow up normally. You grew up fast. While other children felt safe, you were scanning the room for danger. You learned to read tone, body language, silence. You learned to predict her moods, her anger, her triggers. That wasn't childhood. That was emotional survival. And now, without realizing it, you can sense tension before anyone speaks. You feel responsible for everyone's emotions. You don't allow yourself to make mistakes. You overthink every word you say. You apologize before you've done anything wrong. That is not your personality. That is your trauma training. When love comes with fear, a child becomes hyper-aware. When affection comes with conditions, a child becomes perfectionistic. When love disappears with the smallest mistake, a child becomes terrified of being human. So now you know how to take care of others, but you don't know how to receive care. You know how to comfort people, but you have no idea how to be comforted. You know how to carry everyone's pain, but not how to speak about your own, because somewhere inside you, deep and quiet, is a belief that was carved into your childhood. My needs don't matter, but they do. They always did. You just learned to bury them to survive. So let me rewrite that belief for you. Your voice matters. Your needs matter. Your feelings matter. Your boundaries matter. Your heart matters. Healing doesn't require confronting her. Healing doesn't require fighting with her. Healing doesn't require changing her. Healing begins when you stop blaming yourself for the love she never gave. You don't have to earn love anymore. You don't have to be perfect to be loved. You don't have to fear affection. The world will not collapse if you finally choose yourself. There's a moment in healing that feels like standing at the edge of a cliff. You finally realize you don't have to repeat the love you were taught. Just because your mother taught you what love shouldn't be doesn't mean your life is doomed that same version of love. You can unlearn the fear. You can unlearn the silence. You can unlearn the guilt. You can unlearn the belief that love must hurt. And here's the most powerful part. You can relearn love in a healthier language. Love that doesn't punish you. Love that doesn't control you. Love that doesn't demand a smaller version of you. Love that lets you breathe. But healing love doesn't start with another person. It starts with you. It starts when you speak gently to yourself. It starts when you stop calling yourself too emotional, too sensitive, too weak. It starts when you allow yourself to rest, to feel, to break, to rebuild. Because you were never too sensitive. You were responding to an unsafe environment. You were never too quiet. You were trying not to be hurt. You were never too emotional. You were full of feelings with no safe place to put them. And now you get to create that safe place for yourself. Maybe you will learn love through a friend who truly cares. Maybe you will learn love in a relationship that feels gentle. Maybe you will learn love in your own children, giving them what you never received. Or maybe you will learn love in the mirror, the day you finally look at yourself without judgment or shame. Because healing is not about replacing your mother. Healing is not about proving anything to her. Healing is about giving yourself what she could not give: emotional safety, warmth, kinness, encouragement, softness, love that never asks you to shrink. You are not your mother's mistakes. You, the one who breaks the cycle. And the moment you choose gentleness over fear, the moment you choose truth over silence, the moment you choose yourself, you are already healing. Here is the most powerful truth of all. You didn't fail at love. Love failed you. You were a child who deserved softness, safety, and warmth, not coldness, silence, or fear. But hear this with your whole heart. Your childhood may have shaped you, but it did not destroy you. You survived what should have broken you. You carried pain that wasn't yours. You loved people who didn't know how to love you back. You spent years blaming yourself for scars you never created, and yet you're still here, not bitter, not cruel, not empty, still yearning for love, still capable of loving, still holding a heart that refuses to stop feeling. That is strength. That is resilience. That is proof that you are more powerful than your past. Your mother taught you what love shouldn't be, but life is waiting to teach you what love truly is. Love that listens. Love that stays. Love that makes you feel safe in your own skin. You don't have to chase it. You don't have to earn it. You just have to believe you deserve it. Because you do. You always did. And if no one ever told you this before, let me say it clearly: you deserved a gentle childhood. You deserved a soft place to land. You deserved love that didn't hurt. But now you get to give that love to yourself. You get to rewrite your story. You get to build a life where love is safe, warm, and kind. You get to create a future that looks nothing like your past. And one day, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, you will wake up and realize you are no longer defined by what she couldn't give. You are defined by what you learned to give yourself. Your mother may have taught you what love shouldn't be, but you are the one who will teach the world what love is.